Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening up a file that is, well, it's deceptively simple on the surface. If you just glance at the title, you might think, okay, another philosophical tract, another dusty old text.
Right.
But if you look over the edge of this thing, it is a straight drop into the infinite. We're looking at a text titled The Ascent from Kevlam to Kaiwalya.
From only to liberation, or from only to solitude. It sounds like a title from an ancient scroll found in a jar somewhere, doesn't it?
It really does.
But what we have here is actually a very modern, almost clinical psychological dissection of the spiritual search. It's less about mysticism and more about the mechanics of how human beings fail to process reality.
Exactly. And I think that's why this stuck out to me so much in the stack of research we pulled for this week. We aren't just talking about chanting in a cave or lighting incense, though that's part of the background noise.
Sure, that's the aesthetic.
That's the aesthetic, yeah.
Yeah.
But we are talking about the architecture of the mind. The source material we have today is a collection of writings, specifically focusing on a transition. It talks about moving from section 1, which is action-oriented, form-based, to section 2, which is feeling-oriented and formless. But the real gold here, and what I want us to really chew on, is how the text frames the problem.
It frames it as a mission. That's the word I'd use. The mission is to answer a burning question that I think every single person has asked, whether they admit it or not.
Oh, definitely.
It unpacks the journey from Gyan, which is just intellectual knowledge, stuff you memorize, stuff you can recite at a dinner party.
Right, trivia, spiritual trivia.
Exactly. From that to Bodh, which is experiential realization, the stuff you know in your bones, not just in your head.
And the premise is what hooked me immediately. The text essentially asks this. If the ultimate truth of the universe is actually incredibly simple, if it's just one basic fact, why is the manual so thick?
Yes.
Why is the path to understanding it so complicated?
Yeah.
Why do we need libraries of commentary?
It's the classic paradox, isn't it? If the truth is simply you are the divine or you are the soul, why do we need 20 years of meditation and 1,000 pages of text to accept it? It seems inefficient.
It seems wildly inefficient.
Yeah.
So, here is the hook, and this is straight from the source's central dilemma. I want to ask you this directly, and I want you, the listener, to really answer this honestly in their own head.
Okay.
If I told you right now, you are not your body, you are the divine, you are the infinite, would you believe me?
Intellectually? Maybe. I might nod and say, sure, that sounds nice. I've read that on a poster somewhere.
But would you feel it? Or
Yeah.
would your brain secretly reject it in that quiet place in your head?
Oh, absolutely, it would reject it, if I'm being honest. My brain would probably check my calendar for my next meeting. It would remind me that my infinite divine self has a mortgage due on the 1st of the month and a dentist appointment at 2:00 p.m.
Yes, that's it exactly.
The rejection is almost automatic. It's a reflex.
Exactly. And that is the crux of today's deep dive. The text implies that the difference between hearing the truth and living it is the difference between reading a map and actually driving the car. And most of us are just staring at the map, arguing about the font size.
That's a perfect analogy. And the text we're analyzing actually uses a very similar metaphor about an elevated road, which is a brilliant way to visualize this.
It is. We'll get there.
But before we get to the solution, we have to deal with the audience.
Yes, the audience. One of the unique things about this source material is that it isn't just a monologue from a guru on a mountain. It includes a direct interaction with an audience member. It's a response to a challenge.
And a very valid challenge, I might add.
A very valid one. So let's set the scene. Segment 1, the audience's challenge. We had this text, The Ascent from Kevlam to Kaiwalya. And right out of the gate, an audience member raises a hand, metaphorically or literally, and asks a question that, frankly, I think we've all wanted to ask spiritual teachers at some point.
The question was blunt. If this knowledge is so simple, what is the meaning of writing so many sections and chapters? Why not just tell us directly?
I love that. It's the, couldn't this meeting have been an email of spiritual literature?
It really is. Why the long preamble? Just give me the tweet, give me the headline. We live in an age of efficiency, and this person is bringing that efficiency mindset to enlightenment.
And you can almost feel the impatience in it, can't you?
A little bit, yeah. But what's fascinating is how the author receives this question. The text notes that the author views this not as an insult or a sign of boredom.
Which is how I would probably take it.
Me too. But no, the author sees it as a massive compliment.
A compliment? How so? Usually if someone asks, why are you talking so much, that's not a compliment.
In this context, it is, because it implies that the questioner has had a glimpse of the truth behind the words. If you look at a complex machine, say a massive clock tower, and you say, wait, this is actually just a lever and a fulcrum, why all the extra gears, it means you understand the core mechanism.
I see.
You've seen through the complexity. The author sees this question as proof that the listener has realized the truth is, at its heart, incredibly simple. The question itself is a sign of progress.
Okay, I see that now. It's like they've cracked the code and are wondering why the encryption was necessary in the first place.
Exactly. They got the punchline, and now they're asking why the joke was so long.
So let's look at what they are calling simple versus complex. The text breaks it down into these two massive sections, Section 1 and Section 2. We need to unpack those terms because they are the foundation of the whole argument.
Right. So Section 1 is described as Kevlam. Now, in this context, the text defines this phase as Sagun Se Kaiwalya.
Break down those terms for us. Sagun Se Kaiwalya.
Sagun means with qualities or with attributes. Sakar means with form. So Sagun Sakar is the divine with form and attributes.
So God as a person or a statue or something you could point to, something tangible.
Precisely. The text says this section is karma prakan, meaning action-oriented.
Action-oriented. So this is the doing phase, the checklist phase.
Exactly. This is the phase of only Brahma, but seen through the lens of doing, of rituals, of external focus. It's the tangible stuff. It's going to the temple, lighting the lamp, doing the yoga pose, reading the scripture.
And things you can do. Verbs.
Verbs, exactly. It is interacting with the divine as if it is an object outside of yourself that you need to appease or connect with through action. It has a cause and effect you can see. I pray good things happen.
Okay, so that's Section 1. It's the concrete world. It's the world where we can touch things, see things, and measure our progress by how many chants we did. Then the text moves to Section 2, Kaiwalya.
Kaivalya. This is the transition to Nirgun Nirakar. Nirgun means without attributes, and Nirakar means formless.
The deep end of the pool.
The deepest. This is where you can't measure anything anymore. This is described as bhav pradhan feeling or emotion-oriented. It's about a state of being, not a state of doing.
So it's a total shift.
A total shift. It moves from I worship Brahma, which is an action, to I am Brahma, which is a state of being. This is where concepts like moksha, liberation, and kaivalya come in.
Let's talk about that word Kaiwalya. It translates to solitude or aloneness, right? And like I said before, solitude usually sounds lonely to us. I'm all alone. But here it implies something else.
Something totally different. It implies completeness. It's aloneness in the sense of all oneness. There is no other. If you are everything, you are technically alone because there is nothing else but you. It's not lonely. It's all-encompassing.
Can you give me an analogy for that? Because that's a tough concept.
Sure. Think of a wave in the ocean. The wave might feel like a separate thing. I'm a wave, and there are other waves, and there's the big ocean. That's a feeling of separation.
Right.
But when the wave realizes it's just water, that it is the ocean expressing itself as a wave for a moment. That's Kaivalya. It's not lonely, it's just true. It's the difference between being locked in a room by yourself, which is loneliness, and being the entire universe, which is Kaivalya.
That's a huge shift in perspective. So the text called this whole progression a Gyan yatra, a knowledge journey. And this structure, moving from form to formless, is the answer to the audience member's question about why the structure.
Exactly. We categorize learning into form and formless because that is how human cognition develops. You can't just upload abstract concepts into a brain that is wired for sensory input.
It's like trying to explain calculus to a baby.
You can't do it. Think about how children learn.
Toy blocks.
Toy blocks, the alphabet song. You start with the concrete, you hold the apple, you count the apples, 1 apple, 2 apples. Only after you understand the apples can you understand the concept of 2 as an abstract number.
You need the form to get to the formless.
Yes. You can't explain the concept of 0 to a toddler without first showing them something and then taking it away. I have 1 apple, I take it away, now I have 0. You need the apple, the form, to understand the 0, the formless.
So all the rituals, all the stories, all the deities with forms, they're the apples.
Precisely. The text is arguing that these long chapters, the rituals, the Sagun Sakar phase, these are the apples. They are necessary cognitive scaffolding. You can't just jump to the formless. If you try, you fall. You need to build the mental muscle using the tangible before you can lift the intangible.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a pedagogical tool. It's not that the rituals are the end goal, but they are the training wheels.
Perfect phrase. Training wheels.
But here is where it gets really interesting, and this is where the text throws a bit of a curveball regarding our own psychology. It pivots from teaching methods to the nature of the ego.
Ah, yes, the ego paradox. This is where the text gets surgical. It stops being about philosophy and starts being about why we are the way we are.
This is my favorite part, segment 2, the ego paradox and the myth of renunciation. I have to read this quote from the source because it stopped me in my tracks. It's short, but it's heavy.
Lay it on us.
Ego is just a word and the soul is silent.
It's profound, isn't it? Just sits there.
It really does. Ego is just a word and the soul is silent. Unpack that for us. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, think about the noise in your head right now. The constant narration.
The narrator.
The little guy in the booth. I like this podcast. I'm hungry. I'm successful. I'm a failure. I hope I don't say something stupid. That chatter, that constant stream of I, that is the ego.
They're always talking.
Always, because the ego lives in language. It lives in definitions. It needs words to exist because it is a construct. It is a story we tell ourselves about ourselves. Without words, what is it?
And the soul.
The soul, according to the text, doesn't need to narrate its existence. It just is. Does the sun need to say, I am hot to be hot? No, it just burns. Does gravity need to announce itself? No, it just pulls.
Yeah.
Silence is the nature of the soul. It exists prior to language, prior to the story.
So the part of me that is currently worrying about whether I'm doing a good job hosting this deep dive.
That's the ego. It's using words to measure itself against a standard. It's comparing and contrasting.
And the part of me that is just aware. The part that hears the voice but isn't the voice. The quiet background.
That's the soul. And the soul is silent. But the text uses this distinction to dismantle a very specific trap that spiritual seekers fall into. This is a trap that catches the smartest people. It's the trap of renunciation, or teag.
Renunciation. Giving stuff up. That's usually seen as the gold standard of spirituality, right? I gave up my wealth, I gave up my bad habits, I gave up meat.
We celebrate it.
We usually applaud that. We think, wow, look at how disciplined that person is. We put them on a pedestal.
Usually, yes, we give trophies for that. But this text critiques it sharply. It argues that we often talk big about sacrificing things. I made a huge sacrifice. But it introduces a subtle realization, sukshma bod.
A subtle realization. I like that.
The argument is this. If nothing was ever yours to begin with, what exactly did you give up?
Oh, wow. That's a bit of a slap in the face to the ego, isn't it?
It's a total undercut. It pulls the rug out. Imagine you're house sitting for a billionaire. You're living in the mansion, you're eating the food, you're driving the cars, but your name isn't on the deed.
Right. It's not mine.
One day, you walk out the front door and announce to the press, I have decided to renounce this mansion. I am giving it up for the greater good. Look at how noble I am.
The billionaire would be watching the news like, excuse me, that wasn't yours, buddy. You didn't give up anything. You just left.
Exactly. And the text says this is what we do with God or the universe. We say, I renounce my attachment to this body, or I renounce my wealth. The text warns that the very thought, I renounce this, strengthens the ego.
How does it strengthen it?
Because it reinforces the I.
Ah, of course.
Correct. It validates the illusion that I owned something and I made a noble choice to give it away. The ego becomes the hero of the story. Look at me, the great renouncer.
So the ego just found a new costume. It was the rich guy costume, and now it's the holy guy costume.
Precisely. It's the ego dressing up in spiritual clothes. It's what Trungpa Trungpa called spiritual materialism. You're not collecting cars anymore. You're collecting spiritual accomplishments. You're collecting brownie points for giving up things you never owned. You are building a resume of holiness.
That is sneaky. The ego is incredibly sneaky. It will hide anywhere, even in your humility. I am the most humble person here is still an ego statement.
It's the ultimate paradox. Look how unattached I am is an attachment to being unattached.
So if renunciation is a trap, what is true realization then? What's the alternative?
The text defines real wisdom not as giving up, but as seeing. It is simply seeing that whatever existed, your body, your house, your thoughts, your family, was already part of the divine arrangement. The text calls it Ishwarya Vyavastha, the divine system.
The divine system. So it's not mine, it's just part of the system.
Yes, and you are a part of it too. You're a function within it. So it shifts the perspective from giving up to acknowledging reality.
So it's not an action, it's a perception.
It's a perception. It's not, I am letting go. It is, oh, I see now, my hands were empty the whole time. It's an admission, not a transaction.
That is actually incredibly liberating because the act of giving up feels like a struggle. It's a fight. This just feels like relaxing.
That's the Kaivalya aspect. That's the liberation. You don't have to carry the burden of ownership or the burden of renunciation. You just have to acknowledge the system. You aren't the manager of the universe. You're just living in it. You don't have to keep the planet spinning. They do that on their own.
But, and there is always a but in these discussions, if this is just about acknowledging reality, if it's just about seeing, we circle back to the audience's question, why is it so hard?
Yep. Back to square one.
Why does the mind fight this simple truth? Why can't I just say, oh, okay, and be enlightened? Why do I wake up tomorrow and still worry about my credit score?
And this is the core of it. This brings us to segment 3, the rebellion of the mind.
The rebellion. I like that phrasing. It sounds like a sci-fi movie, but it's happening in our heads right now.
It is. The source text gives a very specific answer to why we need the long road of chapters and logic. The host in the text, or the voice of the text, poses a hypothetical shortcut to prove a point.
Okay.
They ask, why couldn't the author just say in the very first line, creation is the union of Purush and Prakriti consciousness and nature. You are not the body, you are the soul, you are Brahma. The end. Thank you for coming.
Shortest book ever.
Yeah.
Bestseller. Easy. Everyone goes home enlightened. Problem solved.
Maybe. But the source explains the reaction. If you told the average person that in line 1, without any prep work, their mind wouldn't just be confused, it would rebel, it would get angry.
Rebel how? Like storing the barricades.
The text actually scripts the internal monologue of the listener. It says the listener would think, are you making a fool of me? How can I be the soul? Look at me, I'm a body, I have back pain, I get hungry, I have bills.
That sounds familiar.
And moksha, liberation, that only happens after death. Stop talking nonsense.
I can hear that voice. It's the voice of common sense. It's the voice of our lived experience. It's the voice that says, I can't pay my rent with consciousness.
It's the voice of conditioning. And it's powerful. The psychological barrier is massive. We have spent, depending on your age, 20, 30, 50 years, reinforcing the neural pathway that says, I am this physical form.
Every single day.
Every time you look in the mirror, every time you feel pain, every time someone calls your name, that pathway gets stronger. It's a deeply worn groove.
Right. If you pinch me, I hurt. I don't think the body is experiencing a sensation. I think, out. Stop that.
My identity is welded to my biology.
Exactly. So a direct statement of absolute truth, you are not the body, sounds like madness to an unprepared mind. It sounds like gaslighting.
Gaslighting. That's a great word for it. It feels like someone is denying my most basic reality.
Yes. You're not the body.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I am. I'm stuck inside it. It creates cognitive dissonance. The mind's defense mechanism is to reject the new information to protect the old identity. It's a psychological immune system. So the long explanation, the logic, the chapters, they are a way to bypass that defense mechanism, a way to get past the firewall.
They are a negotiation with the ego.
A negotiation.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to put it. It's not a fight. It's a treaty.
It's a slow, careful negotiation. The text says we must pass through scientific and logical milestones. We have to satisfy the Tarkvati man, the argumentative mind.
The argumentative mind. We all know that guy.
Yeah.
The skeptic. The debater.
We all have that guy in our heads. It's the lawyer. It needs proof. It needs evidence. It needs a syllogism. If A, then B. If B, then C. Therefore, A must lead to C.
It wants a paper trail.
It wants a paper trail. Spiritual literature, according to this source, needs to provide the data points to keep that lawyer busy. You give the mind enough logic to chew on, enough structure to feel safe, and eventually it quiets down enough for the real message to slip through the cracks.
It's like giving a dog a bone so you can walk past it without being bitten. The logic is the bone.
Perfect. The logic is the bone. The realization is what happens when the dog is busy. The structure of the text, the progression from Kevlam to Kaiwalya, is designed to walk the argumentative mind to the edge of the cliff and say, okay, you've seen the map, you've checked the coordinates, the math works out, now you have to jump.
And the mind is more willing to jump because it feels like it came to the conclusion itself.
It feels like it was a rational decision, not a blind leap of faith.
This leads us perfectly into the central metaphor of the text, which I think is brilliant. It explains how this process works physically or spatially. Segment 4. The elevated road.
This is where we distinguish between information suchna, or thinking, and experience anubhav.
The text notes that people have heard these truths hundreds of times. You are the soul. Yeah, I got it. I've seen the meme, I've read the quote on a tea bag, but it remains just data.
It's just files on a hard drive, it hasn't been installed, it's not running the operating system, it's just sitting there taking up space.
So talk to me about this elevated road metaphor. How does the text use it to explain the shift from data to reality?
Okay, so imagine a chaotic city, let's say. Downtown Mumbai or New York or London at rush hour.
I'm picturing it. Stressful.
That chaos, the honking, the stop-and-go traffic, the pedestrians crossing, the smells, the noise, that is our daily mental state. That is the confusion of the material world. That is samsara. That's the argumentative mind at full volume.
Okay. Stressful. I'm already anxious just imagining it. I'm imagining someone cutting me off in traffic.
Now imagine an elevated road, a flyover, or a highway built on pillars soaring above the city.
Okay, I'm up there. I'm rising above the smog. It's quieter.
The text says the logical arguments, the sections and chapters, are the on-ramp to this road.
The on-ramp, that's crucial. You can't just teleport onto a highway.
Exactly. You can't just levitate a car. You need a ramp. The logic, the philosophy, the discipline study, those are the ramp. They gradually lift you out of the traffic of confusion. They take you from the ground level of I am the body up to the level of I am the witness.
So the ramp is the work. It's the karma pradhan part we talked about.
That's it. The ramp is steep and it takes effort. That's the action phase. That's the intellectual heavy lifting.
And once you're on the elevated road, what happens then?
The text uses the word nishchit, inevitable, or certain. Once you are on the elevated road, reaching the destination becomes inevitable. You bypass the traffic below.
I love that visual. You're driving above the chaos. You can look down and see the stress, the ego battles, the I renounce this drama. You can see it all happening below you, but you aren't in it.
You're not stuck in it.
You're cruising above it. You aren't ignoring the city. You can still see it. But you aren't stuck at the red light with the guy honking behind you.
And the key is, the clarity of principles lifts you to a height where the truth becomes visible. When you are stuck in traffic behind a bus, you can't see the horizon. You can only see the bus.
Right, your entire world is the back of that bus.
When you are on the elevated road, you can see the destination. You can see the whole layout of the city. You aren't just believing the map anymore. You can see the city through the windshield. The perspective changes everything.
So the mission of the text isn't just to tell you the truth, but to build the ramp so you can get on the highway.
Precisely. And once you are up there, the rules of the road change. It's a completely different driving experience.
Which brings us to a very comforting but also slightly terrifying concept in the text.
Okay, I'm ready. Segment 5, the safety net and the one-way street.
The source clarifies the relationship between the form, sakar, and formless, nirakar. It says they aren't different roads. They're just two directions or two lanes on this one great highway Mahamarg.
So you don't leave one to get to the other.
No, they coexist. And it says a wakened consciousness, Jagrut can cross the line between these two at any time.
What does that look like in real life? That's the sign of mastery. You can enjoy the form, enjoy a sunset, enjoy a delicious meal, enjoy a relationship with your whole being. But you can instantly switch lanes to the formless and realize it's all just divine play, it's all temporary, it's all one energy.
So you're not stuck in either lane.
You have fluidity. You aren't trapped in the material, but you aren't detached to the point of being a zombie either. You can be fully engaged and fully free at the same time. You can merge lanes.
But then comes the one-way rule. This is the part that sounds a little scary.
Yes. The text describes this path as a one-way road.
Which means no U-turn.
No U-turns. It means you cannot unsee the truth. Once you climb onto this road of understanding, once you truly grasp that ego is a word and soul is silent, you cannot go back to being fully asleep. You will reach the God element.
That sounds intense, like there's no turning back. It reminds me of the Matrix. Once you take the red pill, you can't go back to the pod. You can't unknow what you know.
It is exactly that. And for the ego, that is terrifying. The ego wants an escape hatch. It wants to say, I'll be spiritual on Sundays, but I want to be petty and angry on Mondays.
I know that feeling.
The elevated road says, no. Once you see the truth, the pettiness loses its flavor. You can try to be petty, but you'll see through your own game immediately. The drama feels hollow.
But what if we mess up? The text admits we might stumble or roll down. We are human. We get angry. We get jealous. We fall off the wagon. Does the one-way rule mean we are punished for stopping?
No, and this is where the divine insurance policy comes in. This is the comforting part.
An insurance policy, I like that.
The text is very specific here. It says if you stumble, a nimit, an instrument or medium or a guru or God himself, will act as a support from behind to lift you back up.
A nimit. So that could be anything. A person, a book, a random event?
Anything. A conversation like this one, a line in a movie, something that just clicks you back into place. The promise is that help will appear. The text says, God and Guru never leave your side.
So there's a safety net.
A huge safety net. The experts' take on this is that it removes the fear of failure. Usually in religion, there's so much fear. If I sin, I go to hell. If I mess up the ritual, I'm cursed.
Right. Fear is the primary motivator in a lot of systems. Do this or else.
But this text says, once you are on the elevated road, the system is rigged in your favor.
Rigged in your favor. That's a bold claim. I love that.
Exactly. It flips the whole script. Even if you trip, the momentum of the road and the support system behind you pushes you forward. You literally cannot fail. You can only be delayed.
Why? What's the mechanism there?
Because you have seen the truth won't let you go. It's like gravity. Once you are in the orbit of a planet, you're in the orbit. You might wobble, but the gravitational pull is constant. The truth has its own gravity.
That brings a huge sense of relief. It's not all on my shoulders. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be on the road.
It goes back to, you never own the house anyway. You aren't the one driving the bus, really. You're just the passenger who finally realized where the bus is going.
So where's the bus going? Let's talk about the end game. Segment 6, the final destination.
The goal is identified as the state of Atma Bodh self-realization, not just Atma Gyan self-knowledge.
Again, the shift from knowing the words to becoming the understanding. The shift from reading the menu to eating the food.
And the text makes a beautiful point about distance. This is one of my favorite lines. It says, the distance to the destination is negligible.
Negligible. Effectively zero.
Effectively zero. Because you aren't traveling to a new city, you are not going to a place called enlightenment, you are traveling to yourself.
And you're already here.
You're already here. The distance between you and New York might be thousands of miles. The distance between you and you, it's zero. It is only a matter of opening the eye of wisdom, Gyan Chakshu.
It's like looking for your glasses when they're on your head. You're running around the house, panicking. Where are my glasses? I can't see anything.
Yes.
The distance to the glasses is zero, but until you realize it, they are lost.
Perfect analogy. You are searching for what is already doing the searching. The seeker is the sought. And this brings us to the final critical decision point in the text, the concept of the unfinished script.
The unfinished script. This sounded very cinematic to me. The source describes life as a script we are writing or enacting, and it presents a choice.
It's a binary choice. It cuts through all the excuses. Option A, show determination, drid nischay, and finish the script in this life. Do the work, get on the elevated road, realize the truth now, close the book.
Okay, that sounds like the ideal option. And option B?
Option B is to take the risk.
Now, normally we think taking a risk means doing something dangerous, like skydiving or quitting your job to join a monastery. We think the risk is the spiritual path.
Right. We think exploring spirituality is the risky path because we might lose our social standing or our comfort. We think playing it safe is just keeping our head down, making money, and dying quietly.
But the source flips this completely.
It does. It says the real risk is ignoring the call. The risk is choosing to leave the script unfinished.
Why is that a risk?
Because if you don't finish it now, you are forced to repeat the cycle. You have to come back. You have to go through birth, childhood, school, work, struggle, confusion, all over again.
It's the sequel nobody asked for. Life 2. The relearning.
Exactly. Samsara, the reboot. And who knows what the conditions will be next time. You might not have access to these texts. You might be born in a time of war. You might be born as a squirrel.
Right. There's no guarantee the next life will be easier.
The text frames procrastination as the ultimate gamble. You are betting your soul on a future that doesn't exist yet, when the opportunity to finish the game is right here, right now.
That is a powerful reframing. The safe choice of just living a normal, unexamined life is actually the dangerous choice. It's the riskiest bet you can make.
Because the truth is standing right in front of you. Bilkul Karib, as the text says. Absolutely close. The choice is yours. You can wake up now, or you can hit snooze. But if you'd snooze, you have to sleep through the whole nightmare again.
So we've gone from the audience asking why so complicated to the realization that the complexity is just a ramp to get us to a simple truth. We've looked at the ego's fake renunciation, the one-way elevated road, and the risk of the sequel.
It's a comprehensive map of the human predicament. It covers the psychology, the philosophy, and the urgency. It tells you where you are, where you need to go, and why you shouldn't wait.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, Let's bring it home.
Let's connect it back to the listener.
Yes, you listening right now, you are collecting information, you are listening to deep dives like this one, you're reading books, scrolling through quotes on Instagram. That's the sections and chapters. That's the on-ramp. You are building the ramp.
And that's good. It's necessary. But the question the source leaves us with is, are you still on the ramp? Or have you merged onto the highway?
Are you just analyzing the map, or are you driving the car? Are you just nodding at the concept of ego as a word? Or are you actually listening to the silence underneath it?
And remember the risk. If you have the urge to understand this stuff, that urge is the divine knocking on the door. Ignoring it isn't playing it safe. It's guaranteeing you'll have to do this all over again.
I don't know about you, but I'd rather finish the script this time around. I don't want to sit through the trailers again. I want to see the credits roll on a completed story.
100%. Wrap it up. Credits roll. Let's get out of here.
The text actually ends with a bit of a tease. It says the next discussion topic is a surprise. No hints provided.
I love a good cliffhanger. Keeps you coming back.
And it ends with a playful instruction. Subscribe.
Even the divine understands the algorithm, apparently. Got to build the community.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, the final provocative thought I want to leave you with is this. The source says the distance to the destination is negligible.
Zero distance.
If the distance is zero, then the only thing separating you from the ultimate truth is the belief that you are far away.
That's it. That's the wall. The entire illusion is the belief in distance.
So maybe stop trying to get there and start noticing you are already here.
Beautifully put.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep writing that script and try to finish it before the curtain falls. We'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye. And drive safe on that elevated road.